So even if you can get 10% onto somebody else to take care of for you, that's 10% of that thing that you didn't have to do. So one of the things to understand with delegation is it's never black and white. And there's two elements to that. The first is that you don't have to delegate an entire project or outsource an entire project or none. There's layers in between. So even if you can get 10% onto somebody else to take care of for you, that's 10% of that thing that you didn't have to do, and it's the opportunity cost that you're gaining out of that. So that's the first one, is it's never all or nothing. The deeper version of that is that there really are 6 levels of delegation and how you delegate. And a lot of people, when they have hesitancy towards delegating, is because they're stuck in one or the other. And then even if they get over that initial hump, they tend to try to put all of the things they need done into that one level. So I'll tell you what I'm talking about. The very first level is do as I say. The issue with do as I say is that people feel like that means that they have to do all the work. I have to come up with the parameters, tell them where to look, where to find that plane ticket, where to do the research, and then they say, I'll just do it myself. But do as I say is really for tasks that just don't require much information or much skill even. Like buy me a bath mat on Amazon. Maybe you have to tell them which one, but that's fine. It's very simple. Or post this image on Twitter with this hashtag, whatever it might be. Yeah, you have to do a little bit more of the work there, but it's almost like that last mile kind of idea with all these different delivery services, that last mile. It's fine if you can just get it to a certain point and then move on and go to the next thing and know that it's going to be finished by somebody else. So that's one way you can look at that first layer of do as I say, is it's really just the person finishing what you've already started. The second level of delegation would be look into this for me. So that might be something that you just don't know anything about. It might be that you're at a party or a networking event and somebody says, hey, we use this CRM system. You should check it out. And if you could just say to somebody, I just heard about this, find out about it for me. That's great. It's almost like a human Google at that point, and that's totally fine because you can just move on again. You don't have to worry about it, don't have to think about it. And you also don't need to know what the methods are. Just go find out more information and then I'll see what I want to do about it. You can start in one layer and move to another. So maybe you think about getting a new car. So look into it, come back to me. But then as you get in further, you say, oh, I really like the Subaru. So now I need some really in-depth research on what the different models are. So look into it is the second level. Then we get to the part where you're starting to get a little more trust in the person that you're involving, where you're saying, give me your advice and I'll decide. You can put parameters around this. So you can say, go do some research, go look into this and give me 3 options and I'll pick one. Or give me 2 options or whatever you want. But at some point you're just making a decision. If you're telling somebody, come back to me and I'm going to pick one, that's a really good thing. First of all, you are trusting that they did what they needed to do and explored all options and looked into every possible way that you could do the thing you want to do. And then you're going to decide and they're going to go execute it. So this is like that perfect example of hot potato. You're getting it, you're making a decision, you're moving on from it. So that could be something like, find me the best pet insurance for my animal, right? So they'll do the research, they'll find 3 options. You say, this one costs this much, has this coverage, and this one costs this much, has this coverage. Okay, great, I'm gonna go with that one. And you're done. The next one is explore, decide, and check back with me. So another good example of that is a CRM system or an email marketing system. There are hundreds out there, and none of them are perfect for your situation. But the thing that you have to keep in mind there is that the person that's making the recommendation, hopefully you trust their opinion, but more importantly, if they're recommending something that they're really comfortable with, there's a benefit to that as well. Because the last thing you want is for somebody to make a recommendation of some sort of software, for example, that they're not familiar with, and you say go with it, and then they have to learn it on the way. So if somebody comes back to you, you know that you've asked somebody who knows what they're talking about, and they say you should use this or this, you say, okay, go with that and implement it. This just happened with me recently where I was switching mail service providers, and I just said, is that the one that you think I should go with? She said yes, and I said okay. So there's a lot of those kinds of things, those decisions where no matter how much time you spent, you're still not going to be in a position to make as good a decision as somebody who's been working with that industry or those tools for a long time. So a lot of times when you're trying to get comfortable with this level of trust, what you have to weigh is the balance between the gravity of the project at hand and the expertise of the person that you're asking to do it. Right, so if you need somebody to choose a bath mat for you, the worst case is that you're going to either get a bad product or you're going to spend too much money on it, for example. But when we move on to something like an email marketing campaign, at that point, you shouldn't be the one investing the time to understand which one is the best one. You need to be hiring people who are smarter than you in those roles to do those kinds of things. So it is a bit of a seesaw in some cases where, again, it's like more important task, more important person, more important task, more important person. But you sort of just work your way up to it. And again, it depends on the kind of task we're talking about. Now, Explore, Decide, and Check Back with Me has a caveat to it, which is the 5th level, which is that they can explore and decide and check back with you, but within a certain limit. So this is a really, really common one where people will say, if it's a decision that doesn't involve more than $100, I don't want to know about it. You can make the decision, then just let me know what you did and I don't care. So I have a lot of those situations. So for example, when recently setting up a new personal web page, I was like, well, you could use About Me or whatever, one of these tools, I don't really care. And about an hour later, I saw an Amex charge pop on my phone that said $79 for About.me. It's under $100. Whatever works, I don't really care. I have other things that I want to be focusing on, and that's well within the limit. It could also be, I don't want to hear about a customer complaint unless they complain twice. Now, I don't know if that's a great policy, but people have that. It's the same thing as like level 2 support. There's no difference in that. I don't want to know about it until it gets to this threshold. But then the final one is just get it done. My favorite. To be perfectly honest, there's not a ton of things that come up where you do say this, just get it done. And just get it done can sometimes mean like, I don't care what it costs, I don't care who you have to talk to, I just want it done. Now, we see that in movies a lot of times, but there are some practical elements to this. So there's things that you just have to get done, but you really just don't want to deal with them. And I can give you one example, which was that I had a motorcycle registered in my name that my father and I were using, and I let the registration lapse on it. So he wanted to use it, we couldn't get it done. Somebody had to go to the DMV, like it had to be done. There's just no way around that. And it was like a very slim chance that I wasn't gonna have to do it myself. And that was exactly what I told the person, just get it done. So this assistant that I had doing it ended up going to a DMV. She didn't have a New York license, so she ended up having her son come and do it and register it, and then made up some story about it, and they spent whatever money on taxis and things, and it got done. And I did not want to know about it. And as a matter of fact, at the end, when I found out how much effort it took, I was so thankful that I didn't have to deal with that kind of a mess, because it would have derailed so many other things that I was working on. So a lot of times the just get it done, I don't want to know about it, is really the things that you need to, without question, deal with. So all those 6 levels of delegation, it's important to understand that a project can fall, or a task can fall into any one of those levels. That same project can move through some of those levels as well. And while that may sound like too fluid for some people, I want that. I don't want you to get stuck in this idea that it's either give it to somebody or do it myself. So now as an exercise, I want you to come up with a list and write down 10 things that you need to get done that you don't want to do or shouldn't be doing yourself. And then start to think of these 6 levels of delegation, outsourcing, and notice that you sort of move from outsourcing at the do as I say down to true delegation, which is just get it done, which is the ultimate empowerment of the person you're working with. So take those 10 things and try to see which of those 6 levels they might fall under, and then that'll start to clue you in on A, where your trust or issues are in terms of actually getting this stuff done by someone else, but it'll also start to show you which kind of providers you might need to engage with in order to get these things done.
Foundr mission is to help you create an ass-kicking business and help you learn straight from the mouths of world-class founders. Get your free printed edition of Foundr magazine featuring Sir Richard Branson. Just cover shipping and handling at foundr.com/Branson.